stuff. There was some good stuff, and then there was some like, eh.
Mm-hmm. Rima?
I think Jamie said it pretty well for me. I didn't hate it. It just felt like it was kind of teeing us up for the mid-season finale, that's coming up next week. So I liked some things. I thought there was, some fun, like kind of gameplay between some of our groups there that I'm sure we'll talk more about. But yeah, it was okay. I did love the F-bomb. I don't know if we'll talk more about that later, but that was probably one of my favorite parts. And I mean, if that's one of my favorite parts about the episode, it's kind of downhill from there. But
That's the highlight.
that's my highlight.
You know what? I saw someone else mention that and I missed it. I watched it twice. I didn't hear it.
I didn't
Really?
notice it either until you just said it.
Oh,
It was Daryl,
well,
right?
it was Daryl, yeah.
What was the context?
It was there at the end or kind of towards the end there, the little standoff with Hornsby, after he had his little talk with Herschel, and
And
goodness,
Daryl's pointing his gun at.
Yeah, he dropped it then.
Yeah, I pretty much feel the same. I thought I've really been digging these middle 8 episodes, and so this one didn't meet up to where most of the other ones have been for me. It was good though. Still, I think it's still good. It had some great character moments, relationship moments, and chemistry, and it did move the story forward. But it also made me feel like a lot of listeners have been feeling, which is impatient for, okay, can we please get to the climax, the rebellion or whatever, It's that old Walking Dead feeling that used to happen a lot before Angela Kang came and sped up the pacing, where it's like, okay, we know something's going to happen at the end of these 8 episodes, and it feels like we're just kind of on a elliptical machine waiting to get to it or something, So, I don't know, maybe once we get done with the podcast, I'll like it more. I did like it though. I thought there were some really good moments. I mean, my favorite, well, I don't want to tell you my favorite because it might be one of your points, but let's get into our points. Jamie, what do you got?
I mean, my absolute favorite part was Mercer and Princess.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
So cute.
They're super cute. I mean, they hit the beginning of a new relationship dynamic really, really well with them. Like, not quite awkward, but still like having conversations, just kind of feeling each other out instead of just like blurting out things or whatever. Like, you could tell like they're not carefully choosing their words, but they're being a little cautious with the way they're talking when they were in bed. Like, she wants to know what's going on with him, but she doesn't want to be like, dude, what the hell's going on? She's like,
Right.
Yeah.
she starts with these wake up calls, and then she's like, do you actually sleep? Like,
Yeah.
she's like tiptoeing into it.
There's still the newness of the honeymoon stage. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and it's like, they played it off really well. And then like later on when they're actually opening up to each other and like, okay, now this is this is going to be a thing and we're going to do this together and we're going to figure this out together. Like, I mean, it was just, I think it was written and acted absolutely perfectly. Like, it just felt really real. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm saying that because I'm in a new relationship and it like, I know those beats, but
you're in the bubble.
I'm in the bubble and they're in the bubble. So
yeah.
So if your new boyfriend was like, you're like, there's something wrong. I think you're feeling bad. And he's like, yeah, I just killed 2 of my coworkers and I feel like I want to kill some more. Would you be like, well, let's go figure it out, baby?
In the apocalypse, maybe.
Yeah.
In this world,
Yeah, exactly.
not so much.
Right. It was, I mean, I did sort of have that thought about, would she really just be like, wait, what did you just say? I mean, or something like that. But it's the zombie apocalypse. And also it's TV, so it's a little heightened. And also she, I mean, I'm sure it's the same with you and your boyfriend, but she just knows that he has a good heart. So she can sort of take it for granted that if he did that, then he felt it must have been the right thing.
Yeah. I mean, and he did open up, like he started it with, hey, this went against how I was raised, everything I believe. It's totally against my character. And somehow I'd still do it again. Like, that was powerful.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about his changing attitude about everything that's going on in the Commonwealth, which I think that was the biggest thing about this episode was Mercer and his sister you know, shifting. But anyway, I love that scene too. I love that sequence. I like both the actors, and I think it's really fun to see how Mercer shows different sides of himself depending on who he's interacting with. Like if he's interacting with his sister, he's big brother type, a little condescending sometimes, but is looking out for her best interests and maybe a little too dismissive. With Princess, we saw him smile like we never see him smile, and he bites his lower lip, being all cute, and he's playful, pretending to be a robot and all this stuff. And with Daryl, I feel like he's the boss, but there's a definite growing mutual respect between the two of them. And then with like Sebastian, he's super quiet and he plays the dutiful soldier, but keeps how he's really feeling completely hidden, you know, that which is kind of the Mercer that we've known this whole time until recently, like just quiet, mysterious. But now we get to see some of these other sides that he lets out when he's around people he trusts more.
Yeah.
Testament to a good character and a good actor, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did either one of you guys get to talk to, oh wait, Jamie wasn't there.
No.
Rima, did you get to talk to Michael James Shaw in Fandemic?
No, I ran into him at the after party and was like, oh, sorry, excuse me, because I kind of got in the way a little bit. And I was just like, oh, wow, there's Michael James Shaw. And yeah, he's just as like big like, God, the dude's a beast. And
yeah.
Wow.
Is he tall?
He I think he had a couple of inches on me as far as height. But so, yeah, he's tall. But my goodness, the dude is a beast. I mean, I think when zombies see Mercer coming, they shoot themselves in the head. So I had to deal with him. But I do love their chemistry together. I think Paola, I'm probably butchering her name and I apologize, and Michael James Shaw have a really sweet chemistry together. It seems like they have an easy relationship, easy friendship, I think, in real life, which probably helps attribute to their on-screen chemistry as well, because it looks natural to me. Like, it doesn't look like they're really acting. It seems, you know, when they're with each other and talking with each other and being sweet with each other, it seems really genuine. I really like that.
Yeah. Well, when she was on Walking Dead cast a few months ago, whenever we did that interview with her and we asked her about him, and they had just met for this, but you could tell she had a lot of love for him already and that they just clicked, you know, right away. So that was cool.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah. Okay, Rima, what's your first point?
I wanted to, because I haven't, this is my first time guesting on this new season of Walking Dead cast and getting to talk about some of the new characters. And one character that I find fascinating and not boring by any means is Lance Hornsby. I think this actor, his name's Josh Hamilton, I think he plays such a great villain. I just want to kind of just talk about him for a moment. I think that just watching him on screen is fascinating. He's got this evil lurk in his eyes, like just a split second, and then he'll smile or he'll snap back into kind of decompressing the whole situation. Like he's thinking for just a moment and then he realizes, oh, I've got to get back to my character now. And he goes to like diffusing everything. And when that dude smiles, he has dead eyes. Like, do you guys notice that at all? Like when he does not smile with his eyes, you know, at all. He's got dead eyes.
Yeah, it's an act. He's a manipulator.
Oh, totally. Oh yeah. I mean, I know that he is, but it's just like he's pulling it off so well. Like, and I don't know. And the dude does not blink. I don't know if they go through a lot of eye drops on set or not, but this dude does not blink. And I love watching him because I feel like he's so unpredictable. I think when, I don't know, like with Negan or the governor, you could kind of tell kind of where they were. Their facial expressions or their emotions or something kind of gave them away. I don't know what this dude's going to do. Like, I feel, at least for me, I feel he's kind of unpredictable. I feel like, is he going to snap and, you know, order someone to be killed? Or is he going to like, oh, no, we're good. You're safe. I feel like he's unpredictable and I find him very interesting to watch.
I feel like the governor is a bit similar. He put on a front for his people, you know,
Mhm.
But yeah, Negan definitely, what you saw was what you got with him. And Lucy is in love with Lance Hornsby. She wants them to do a spinoff called Horny for Hornsby.
I'd watch that.
But yeah, in fact, as you were talking, I'm like, maybe we should try to get Josh Hamilton on for an interview soon. That would be super cool, because I think he's incredible in the role. I love him.
Yeah, he's great. He's like the worst middle manager of the zombie apocalypse. It's great. So yeah, just a little appreciation, comment for him, because I think he's interesting. I've had issue with some of the new characters that we've met. I'm kind of frustrated with our like beloved OG characters, but I like him. I think he's interesting, to watch. So I'm gonna kind of give him a shout out.
So yeah, I mean, we've talked a little bit, not on a podcast, so I know that you're not a number one fan of the storyline right now. And I didn't know that you weren't a fan of some of the characters. Can you just talk a little bit more about, since we haven't heard from you in a while, how you're feeling about The Walking Dead right now?
I think I'm struggling really kind of figuring out my feelings, honestly. I feel like I contradict myself as far as my feelings. Like there's a lot of things that I like and there's things that I'm enjoying. Like I do think it is kind of interesting, the story of the Commonwealth. It's, to kind of see where our people have been and how they've struggled and tried to build these communities, and they're trying to figure out what life looks like now post-apocalypse, and having families and kids and kind of moving on and growing, and what do we do now with the life? And they've kind of went one way, and then now being introduced to the Commonwealth, it's kind of interesting to see here's a community that's kind of still embracing our old life with a class system and money, which seems so freaking ridiculous, in this post-apocalyptic life that, you can't even get freaking medical care, you have to have money to be able to do things and have access to things. And it just seems ridiculous. And so I think it's kind of interesting to see, the contrast between the two of where our group was and what they've been building and what's existing in the Commonwealth. But at the same time, I'm kind of getting introduced to all of these new characters, some of that I don't really care about. I find them boring and uninteresting, and I don't feel like I'm very invested. And then the characters that we do know and love so much, or I love so much, are kind of boring. They're all just good guys now, trying to fight the good fight. And I'm just like, I kind of miss the days when Rick and the group was marching up into Alexandria and he's, punching people and shooting people, and
it's interesting.
It's so, I don't know.
Like it's sort of like Fear the Walking Dead season 4, when they all decided they wanted to be helpers, or season 5 or whatever it was, and they were all the same.
Yeah,
they were just helping all the time.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I hate to go that far.
No, I mean, I never really thought about it before, but yeah, they're all, I mean, there's something kind of nice about that they seem to be, they have each other's backs, I mean, they always have, but there's always like conflict and stuff too. And now there's not much conflict among our characters, and that's different for The Walking Dead. That's totally true. Yeah. And thought about that. I don't want to spend a lot of time picking on like the show or anything, but I'm totally curious. Like, what's an example of one of the characters that you're not that into?
Like new characters?
Yeah.
Like I thought I would get, or I thought I would find Yukamo's brother Tomi a little bit more interesting, but I really enjoy her character, and I like Magna, and they've kind of disappeared, and now he's been kind of been brought to the forefront, and I thought I'd find him more interesting, but I just really don't. So I'm kind of just bored with him. I guess he's there, to kind of push the narrative a little bit, and maybe with, Ezekiel and such, like in this episode. But I really don't care for him. If I have to look at that snotty Sebastian one more time, I might punch myself in the face. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
So there are
you
a couple
you don't like the nice guys. You like the bad boys.
No comment.
Even Negan's nice now.
I was going to say that. Like, even Negan's being a good guy now.
He's boring, so.
All right. Well, what about you, Jamie? How are you digging it?
I couldn't put my finger on it until Rima said it. Like, yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like it's wrapping up. Like now all our characters are good guys. Like there's no conflict amongst our group anymore. It's just this snotty Sebastian kid, and now it's just like a
Lance.
class system, which we all said, a lot of people complain like, oh, I'm tired of like the big baddie of the season that we have to fight, but
Yeah.
seems like that was the story with, to go with. Like that was more interesting and more suspenseful, or at least more interesting, because right now it feels too much like real life, maybe.
Yeah. I could see that for sure.
That's a good point.
I mean, I mean, I'm loving it. I love when shows morph in a way that works, so if you don't think it works, then that's no good, but I do. And I don't want the same thing all the time. I'm a novelty seeker. And I've been saying this on the podcast a lot, but I think it's interesting how maybe the show started off with the collapse of civilization, but now it's ending up with the possibility of bringing it back, and our characters have to reckon with whether they want that or not, which I think is fascinating. And also all the forces at play in the society about classism, and the people on the bottom providing all of the amenities that the people on the top get to enjoy, and the people on the bottom are kind of trapped, and they can be manipulated. It's making me look at our society in a fresh way. I mean, I've thought about a lot of that stuff before, but you know how it's different when you think about something and when you actually experience it. So when I'm watching the show, I'm getting more of a feeling for this kind of thing. Even like how I think this list that Connie has is a bunch of people who have probably are under the thumb. This is my speculation. Under the thumb of Lance, because they're in debt, right? That's what April's problem was. The one that from last week that was in the apartment complex or whatever, or not, went to get the cash. She was in debt, so they would clear her debt if she could get this cash for Sebastian. This guy, Tyler, that flipped out at the ball several episodes back. He got demoted, or he lost his job because he messed up with Princess in the train car, and then he couldn't take care of his sister anymore. And I presume that they probably used that to have him do something dangerous, and that's why he's pissed off and he's yelling that they think people like him are disposable and everything. And that makes me think like, okay, if all these people on this list are people that they've either deliberately maneuvered into the situation where they're desperate, or it's just a function of the society that they're in that's put them in that place, and then they can use them from that place to do their dirty work or whatever, then the way to get out of it would be for them to form together. Because if there's just one, because you need the people on the bottom, like I said, to provide the amenities that the people on top get to enjoy. But if just one of them rebels, then it doesn't make a difference. So they all have to bond together. And in our world, that's called a union, like a workers' union. And if they can manage to organize and get together before they get squashed, then they actually have power and they can make demands and get fair conditions for themselves. So that's just one example of a concept that I knew about unions, but I've never really felt an experience of, oh yeah, this is the kind of force that would happen that would motivate people to band together like that. So I don't know. I just find it fascinating to see how the show is making me reflect on real world issues, but also sometimes you just want an escape. I get that too.
Well, one thing I did find really, really interesting from a couple episodes ago was the heroine creation. Like certain things, like when society starts to come back, you're going to have things like that, like a black market of some kind. And you see it again with in this episode with the veterinary health clinic. Like,
yeah,
like with society coming back and society having rules, there are people who are going to break these rules. And just, the ways they're, I was like, oh yeah, well, the hospital would need, pain medicine, and the heroin's going to be the easiest one to make.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was something I never thought. Like stuff like that I do find really interesting that they even thought of that. And then also, but with that comes a seedy element. Like it just does, and that
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's not maybe completely sterile or like yeah, that whole thing was really interesting. He started this free clinic basically, right? Because I mean, Rima, you mentioned you can't even get medical care, but I feel like if Ezekiel was back in Alexandria, he'd be done for because they don't have any surgeons there, right? So there actually is the potential for healthcare, but the problem is that all the advantaged people get to be first on the list, all the, upper class.
Right.
And so
No, there is that. That's a good
yeah.
point. You're right. But I mean, if it hadn't been for Carol intervening and getting him moved up on that list, I mean,
Right.
and that's kind of my problem with it. Like, oh, it's great that they have like this facility and they have doctors and nurses and staff that are qualified to at least provide some health care. I just don't like their way that they go about it. Why, and I get that you have to, if you have so many people who need help, everyone has to be triaged, and it should be in line based on how urgent the situation is, not
Right.
Your place in society, or that you are someone who can either afford it or whatever their system is. That part to me sucks. So and Ezekiel was he could have died. It sounded like he was getting progressively worse, and he was so far down on the line he may not have made. I think Tommy might have said something to Carol about that, like he's not going to make it by the time we get to him on the list. So,
and I don't think they explicitly said that the order of the list is based on how much cachet you have or whatever, but I'm pretty sure that's the case, right? That's the problem, that people with more influence and power get to cut in line. And so Ezekiel creates this free clinic to help the people with the most need, even if they don't have any cachet or whatever. And it's basically like socialized or free healthcare, universal healthcare.
Well, I mean, they said it was money because the girl with the appendix couldn't afford the surgery. Well, didn't want to put her family in debt to have her appendix taken out. So it is a financial thing, but people with money have the status.
Yep. Yeah, money's power.
Yeah, so I think it, it's money and power rolled into one, but they definitely said that it was because of money that she either couldn't or chose not to do the surgery in the hospital.
Right. Yeah, like I am really enjoying, I think they've done such a great job, better than the comic, of introducing the idea of class that comes with this larger population. And I've been enjoying it, but I also am starting to feel like, okay, we get it.
Yeah. And like I said, I totally feel like I haven't quite settled and made up my mind. There's definitely things that I have found interesting in exploring the community of the Commonwealth. I do find it interesting in the whole dynamic and what that's like for our our group who've the hilltop in Alexandria and how they've struggled and the things that they've been through and seen, and then introduced to this polite society, where there's rules and laws and class and
movie
money
theaters and ice cream.
So I mean, it's definitely been interesting to kind of watch all of that, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, all right, like you just said, I get it. Let's keep moving and let's let this play out.
I mean, people are saying, oh, it doesn't, like, we need to get through this so we can get to the end, and I'm feeling like, who knows how it's going to end, but they could just write an ending in the next episode if they wanted to, I don't know what people are expecting to be a satisfying ending, because we know there's these spin-offs, so it's not like everyone's going to die or something. We wouldn't really want that anyway, but I imagine they'll just be, settled in some place, relatively settled, right? That'll be the ending.
I mean, having society back is the goal, right?
It kind of is the end.
Basically, and they found it.
Right. So I'm so curious what these next 9 episodes will be. I just want to feel like, all right, that was good. If I have that feeling once it's over,
oh my gosh,
I'll be happy.
Yeah, I really just kind of went, I guess, the bare minimum of just being like, okay, yeah, that I can live with that. That was good. And not to blow it. I have concerns. I do. Just the way that things were announced as far as when they decided to end the show. And I don't feel the people who were writing the show knew the show was going to end when they were writing the season, and I'm a little bit worried
I think
that.
maybe they extended it to 24 once they found that out. You know what I mean? So that they, at least within the last 8, they could really focus on wrapping it up.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. Hanging on to hope on that one.
For sure.
There's only 9 episodes left.
I know.
Oh, God, I know.
Okay.
So sad.
My turn, right?
Yep.
All right. So here's some things that I felt kind of confused and or nitpicky about. I loved the opening shot with Carlson, half-eaten face, camera
so good, yeah.
rising above him with Zeds lying all around him. And then it was kind of fun how it was a crime scene with evidence markers and Commonwealth cops pointing and taking notes, and you could hear chatter on the radio. That's another thing that's fun for me about the Commonwealth. It feels like we're taking our zombie apocalypse characters and dropping them into another show and seeing how they'll do on that show, you know, a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the Eugene one with that whole noir thing. But why is Carlson only a little bit eaten, and who killed the Zeds that were eating him? I mean, last we saw, they were all chowing down on him.
Yeah, I don't know. I had the same question.
Guess we could have just missed that part, but kind of bothered me. And then the whole thing about Lance just showing up on that roof with Aaron and Gabriel, you know, where we had seen them last after they shot Carlson and he fell off the roof. Is that what happened? They shot him, right? Yeah, Aaron shot him.
So.
And then Lance is there, and he says they called him on the walkie-talkie and he drove over, but it seems weird. I mean, Commonwealth is 400 miles away. Maybe he's just in the area because but we've seen him in the Commonwealth in the last episode when he was talking to Carlson. So it's so far away. And it also seems a little weird to me that this apartment complex that they had this, you know, group that they thought stole their guns is pretty close to Hilltop. Just, yeah. I guess by coincidence.
I need a map.
But it's like 400 miles away from the Commonwealth. So I don't know. It just seems a little bit coincidental. I mean, I guess you could say that Lance, maybe when he was over there exploring this deal with Alexandria and Hilltop and all them, that was the same time that he found out about these guns and had people come out to get them or something like that. I don't know. But don't you guys think it's a little weird that all this stuff happens to be going on so far away from the Commonwealth and close to our communities?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a little Westerosi Game of Thrones kind of getting from the north to King's Landing.
Lance shows up on his dragon. Dragon Lance. So, and also, like, he's up there on the roof and he's like saying to Aaron and Gabriel, all right, so you're telling me that these guys killed all our trained soldiers and you two are the only 2 left alive, and you know, you expect me to believe that? And I'm thinking, well, Lance knows that Aaron and Gabriel did not know the true nature of this mission. They thought they were going on a humanitarian mission, but it turned out it was to kill this warlord. And he said to Carlson, well, once they find out, they'll fall in line. So you'd think that he might think, oh, I guess they didn't fall in line. And also, I think they know that Lance knew the truth about the mission. So, and I think he knows that they know that he knows. So
that's the theme of this episode.
It was a little bit like, can't we all just stop pretending? Like, I don't know. I guess it just seemed a little crazy to me that he was like accusing them, and then they were like, are you calling us liars? And then he's like, okay, never mind. You're fine. Like, I mean, maybe he was just filing that away for later and he's going to follow up on it, but it was a little weird.
Yeah, but I did like the little dark humor moment with Seth and Ross, that, you know, they're like, oh, yep, that's pretty much how it happened. Yeah. You know, I thought that was kind of funny, even though it was like bullshit. And Hornsby, I think, totally knew it was bullshit. But yeah, I think you're right. I think he was just kind of filing it away for later. Like, he knows, but he's going to like try to play it out and see what comes of it, I think.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, but then he's also got them with him. So you'd think he might think, well, I'm pretty sure these guys betrayed me. And so it might be dangerous to have them with me. And then the other thing that kind of didn't make sense to me is Lance thinks the reason Aaron and Gabriel survived at the apartment complex is because they knew someone there. He was right. It was because they knew Negan, really, I would say. But I thought it was a bit of a stretch that he would deduce that. Maybe they just figured out what was going on and told the group, hey, we didn't know we were here to kill you. We're on your side. They told us it was a humanitarian mission. I don't know. But anyway, so Lance deduced that they knew someone there, but then what? He somehow thinks that means Maggie's involved, because it seemed like once he figured that out, he was like, well, let's go check Hilltop and see if these quote unquote killers went there. I wasn't quite sure why he made that. Like, does he think Maggie is part of this group at the apartment complex or in league with them or something? Or is it just because Hilltop is nearby? I don't know. It
seemed a bit of a stretch, I thought, to try to connect Maggie to that. But he, like you said, we had like some CSI, I think, happenings here with, because he's looking at the tires on her truck and like, oh, we found tire tracks. And, I think I think they're trying to show us that he's connecting the dots, but I still think it's a stretch.
Yeah. We don't know how exactly.
Yeah.
How. I feel like they could have done a better job at making that make sense, that he would go over to Hilltop and want to check them out.
I agree.
I guess.
I think it's just
maybe it was just because it's nearby and he knows that they are friends with her. So maybe if they were helping these people, that would be a good place to stash them, which does make sense. Like, I was wondering if they were there.
Yeah, and maybe
it felt
just
like a power play. Like, he was using this as a chance to exert his power on Hilltop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I think he did.
He does that a lot.
Yeah, but it felt like a power play too. Like, even if they're wrong, even if I'm wrong and they're not there, I'm still going to make them scared of me and respect me.
Yeah, because he was pretty irritated when Maggie, because he kind of felt like he had Hilltop in the bag with Milton, and then when Maggie's like, yeah, nah, I'm good. I don't want anything to do with you guys. I think it really soured his plans. I think he's got it out for Maggie and the Hilltop a little bit, so he's really just like trying to connect the dots. I still think it was a stretch that we kind of got there, but I think that's what his whole point was.
Yeah. I think his main goal is to root out these killers and find his guns, but I think he was happy to also be able to kind of put her in her place, so to speak.
Totally.
Like you're saying. Yeah. Okay, Jamie, what do you got for your next one?
Well, I mean, kind of playing off that, the scene with the truck. Not like, I mean, I watched that scene like 3 or 4 times, and every time I'm like, oh my God, is it going to start? Is it not going to start?
It was really tense.
It was so intense.
Do we believe that he just happens to be a mechanic who knows about starter relays?
I don't
There's
buy
no
at all
way.
that they were a very good family of gearheads if he couldn't figure out what was going on with the truck. So
that was a nice tense scene, but I kind of thought it wouldn't start, although I wasn't sure, so I was anxious. But I just think, especially watching second time, Daryl's there. We finally get to see that we'd flashed forward 6 months and see confrontation with armored Daryl and Maggie at Hilltop. Now we get to see what that was all about, which is basically that all these guys showed up to search the place. She said no, and Lance looked like he was about to tell them to force their way in, which could have ended up in deaths. So Daryl wanted to intervene to try to de-escalate, and that's exactly what he did. So Daryl's like, when he talks to Maggie about that, he's like, I know you don't trust them, but trust me. And so I'm thinking, if Daryl's saying, trust me, you can let these guys in to search the place, then Daryl must know that the people in Ian/Negan's group are not there. Or he feels like he could somehow divert them from finding them, but I don't know how he could do that. So I would think he would know that they weren't there, that Aaron and Gabriel must have clued them in, because the last we saw Aaron and Gabriel, they were with Maggie and Negan and that whole group going, oh, who did take the guns then? And then it switched over to Leah, everybody's favorite. So I presume that Maggie and Negan and the whole group, they had a plan for where they could go hide, and it wasn't Hilltop, and Daryl knew that, right?
I think he did. I think he was trying to silently communicate that to Maggie, and I think that he wanted to
it's okay.
Yeah, like it's well, and he was going to be able to keep an eye on them. Gabriel and Aaron with Daryl were going to be able to
letting Lance talk to little Herschel. But
no,
whatever.
they did kind of let him out of their sight for a little bit there, and that didn't turn out so great for them. But at least to be able to keep an eye on them and kind of see what was going on, and at least try to be there in support of Maggie, and not have her up against it all on her own or whatever. So,
But I'm just saying, if you would think that Daryl probably knew that they weren't in there, because otherwise, if he's saying, "Trust me, it'll be fine," and then the soldiers go in and find this group that they're looking for, then it's not going to be fine.
No, definitely not going to be fine. Yeah, that must have been communicated off screen, and we didn't see that when he was
I would think
Gabriel and Aaron. Yeah,
but it was still I didn't think about that until second watch, so I was wondering if they were there on first watch, and it was tense. The whole thing was tense.
Yeah, they did a good job building up that tension. So I did like that part.
Anything else on that point, Jamie?
Well, just Maggie being badass. Like when it didn't start, she's like, "You have till sundown, and you're out of here." Like I was just like, "You go."
She had a good poker face there, because we needed to think that maybe she was worried that it was going to start, but in hindsight, she probably damn well knew it wasn't.
She definitely she looked nervous that it might.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I thought she had a little bit of a nervous look on her face, and I was like, oh, hell, you need to straighten yourself out before, which I feel like Lance just kind of knew anyway. Like, I feel like the whole thing, they all knew that they knew that the other knew what was going on.
No, I think he was hoping it would start, because he looked really disappointed when it didn't.
Oh, he totally did. But I still feel like he knows that Maggie knows something. Like, even if she's not the one responsible for having anything to do with their guns disappearing, like he knows that she knows something.
Yeah.
And that she's involved somehow. But yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, you look a little guilty. Wipe that look off your face a little bit. I thought it was interesting though how quickly the niceties were dropped between them, because even when she turned them down, she was Maggie was fairly pleasant about it. She's like, yeah, that sounds great and all, but just not for us, and we're good, and
no thanks.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden,
the office.
And now she's like, get the fuck out of here, and don't come back. So it was interesting to see how quickly the pleasantries stopped from that last episode to this one.
All right, Rima, what's your next one?
Well, I'll move up my point, because I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this game that's being played throughout the episode between all of these characters. This game between Hilltop and Hornsby. Like I said, I know that that we know that like what's going on. And even Herschel knows like Hornsby's full of shit, which I thought was absolutely, adorable.
I'm not telling you nothing, dude.
Yeah, he's no snitch. He knows. So I like that moment. I was honestly kind of scared there for a minute, because I was like, oh gosh, does he know not to say anything? But yeah, Maggie has raised him well, and he definitely, knew to be quiet. And I did like the tension, like you pointed out, Jamie, that's scene with the truck. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh my gosh, is it going to start? Is it going to start? What, what's going to happen? But it's like our characters now are all starting to realize that the Commonwealth is not what it seems to be. They're even getting the residents of the Commonwealth, like Mercer and his sister, you've got the soldier who's, shouting things. Connie's getting ready to like blow this story, possibly. So it's like, now it's just kind of a question of when all of this is going to kind of explode, and everything that we've, found out about the Commonwealth, and when this is going to happen, I guess from this whole season, like I said, Connie and Kelly are finding out information from Eugene and Max to kind of find out about what Sebastian did and, print that, which I'm thinking, how the hell can she possibly get away with that? How could she possibly be allowed to print that, that he's responsible for this?
Yeah. Like from what we've seen of her editor, they're going to have to sneak it out or something.
Yeah.
If they're going to be able to do it at all. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, they're working on that. Mercer is, getting pressure from his sister to, hey, we need to do something here, right? And he's also got support from Princess, for that as well. Carol, she seems pretty fed up with what she's got going on with Hornsby, and I think she's definitely got something going on. So you've got her involved, and, kind of getting things stirred up. And it's like, now in this whole situation with like Hilltop, everybody's pointing guns at each other. Daryl's pointing guns at gun at Hornsby. That isn't going to, I feel like we've gone too far to kind of like, it's okay. It's fine.
Like I was surprised that Daryl was allowed to stay. Like if you're a soldier and you point a gun at your commanding officer and threaten to kill him, then you're not going to be allowed to come along. You're going to go to the brig or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a suspension of disbelief for me.
Yeah, totally. So, I feel like we're definitely at
but
this
it's like
point.
a big pot of water that's just about ready to boil right now.
100%. Yeah. Really, really good analogy of where I was going with that. It's all simmering and it's getting ready to just, erupt here. And, and I found it interesting that an episode called Trust, was really a whole bunch of people saying a whole bunch of things out loud, but nobody was actually telling the truth. They were all saying a bunch of things, but not really saying what they actually meant. And then I think pretty much every exchange with Hornsby, had to do with telling each other the opposite of the truth in this episode. So it was kind of interesting, the title of the episode, and it had almost nothing to do with the truth or trust. So anyway.
I mean, there were a lot of, yeah, I guess. I mean, there were scenes with characters that decided to trust each other. Like, I would say Max and Eugene and Princess and Mercer mostly, right?
Yeah,
but
maybe Daryl.
Even Carol and Ezekiel didn't quite come together. They love each other, but she thinks it's better off that he doesn't know what's going on, which is so Carol.
Yeah, Carol, that's the definition of Carol.
I'll say Carol holds everything close to the chest.
One thing you mentioned, the scene with Lance and Herschel, you were scared, and I was scared for Lance in that scene because I'm like, you're fucking with Maggie's kid, dude. You're gonna die in a second here if you don't back off. And I mean, maybe he would deserve it, but because he's the bad guy. But I'm not saying I don't think he would deserve something, but I was like, oh God, you better get away from that kid, dude.
Oh, I mean, I was scared for Herschel for maybe like, oh, does he know not to say anything? But also I was like, oh, Lance, you have here. No idea what you are doing right now. I mean, they're already, and I mean, maybe Maggie doesn't know that part, but like what Daryl and Rosita went through, where they're kind of threatening, their kids, RJ and Judith and baby Coco. And I get it, right? We're all parents here. And I mean, I'm telling you what, and my kid's a full ass grown adult, but it doesn't matter. If you mess with my kid, I'm coming at you and I'll tear you apart. So right. I totally relate to that. So I'm thinking you've got Daryl there who just went through having, I know they're not his kids, but he's basically the guardian of RJ and Judith right now. So, that doesn't go off well, but I'm like, oh, Lance, you have no idea with what you play with when you're threatening this little boy. So yeah, he got very lucky.
He's lucky to be alive.
And I don't think he has any clue how lucky he was in that moment.
He puts himself in some pretty dangerous situations, and he's so far been able to talk himself out of it.
I mean, he's a fixer. That's what he does, right? Yeah. I think he's good at diffusing and talking to people,
And turning a situation to his advantage.
Totally.
I'm not sure if he would have been able to talk his way out of if Herschel pulled the gun on him the way Negan did the last episode.
You mean you think Herschel would have shot him?
If it got to that, Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he has the skill, like he has the skills to talk his way
Yeah.
out of an adult. I don't know that he has the skills to talk his
No,
way
because
out of a
he would have
kid.
been trying to bullshit that kid. Negan wasn't.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And the kid could tell.
Kids can read bullshit better than adults.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, kids, yeah, it's pretty hard to fool kids. They see right through it.
All right. I think it's my turn.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Just thought it'd be interesting to talk a little bit about what exactly is going on with the Commonwealth, under the surface. Because Eugene and Rosita tell Connie and Kelly about Sebastian having sent people to get cash for him, and a ton of them got killed. And then she brings out that list of names that someone left for Connie after this guy Tyler that blew up at the party went missing. And I think Lucy had predicted that maybe that was a list of people who'd been sent out to get the cash. Rosita says there's way more names on this list than Sebastian sent into that house. I'm like, are you sure? Maybe he sent 1,000 people in there.
Yeah.
But I think we can take that. I feel like we can take that for granted. The point is that it's actually a bigger story than just that.
Mm-hmm.
And because she says maybe it's related, but there's something else going on here. And so what do you guys think it is that's going on?
I think there's a group trying to, if not take over, at least equalize the Commonwealth a little more, not have so much of the haves and the have-nots.
So you think it's a list of like rebels?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, rebels or people who, obviously, that April girl didn't seem to be much of a rebel, so it's got to be something else. It may be something else with that, but I feel like there is a group already out there trying to, like you said, unionize, for lack of a better term, unionize.
Organize.
Yeah, I feel like just from that episode that we had, just those few scarce moments that we had, like with Magna, I feel like there's a little bit of a resistance,
Mm-hmm.
kind of happening in the underground and maybe it has something to do with that. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm kind of on that same wavelength.
I think it's a list of people that Lance has either deliberately maneuvered into situations where they need help financially or whatever, and so that he can then use that to get them to do the things that he wants that are dirty work. Like just the same way that Sebastian sent them all to get cash, only it's other things. And I think that's why Tyler, I was sort of confused about his story at first, because he said, that whole thing I mentioned earlier about having lost his position in the military because of what happened with Princess. But there was always a suggestion that it was more than that he said, you think that we're disposable. And in an earlier episode, Connie had said something happened to Tyler Davis, something he blames Governor Milton for, something worth confronting her in public over, and they clearly have a reason for suppressing the truth. So I'm like, well, I guess it's more than just him losing his position. Something else happened. And now with stuff that's happened in this episode and recent episodes, it seems like, yeah, he's like, this whole list of people are people that they've used and abused because they were in a desperate situation, and maybe they're even people that have died in the line of doing all this stuff or whatever. I don't know. That's what I think it is.
I think that's a good theory too. I don't know one way or another, but yes, like you said, it's like they have things that they can hold over these people. It can be, wiping out debts. It could be giving them money and giving them higher status. It could be providing medical care for them or someone in their family or a loved one or something. It could be just so many things that,
yeah.
The
interesting thing, if I'm right, what I still don't know is, what are they having them do? What are they doing? And so now Eugene wants Max to do some digging, and I don't know if he knows exactly what, but it feels like they think that the Miltons are connected to this. And so she's close to Pamela Milton, her assistant, so she can go dig around for some files or something that connect the Miltons to this list of names and find out exactly what's going on, which I hope we find out next episode, because I feel like they need to get it going.
I agree.
All right. I think it's Jamie's turn.
I'm going to go with Ezekiel and Tommy. when they were talking like right before they got caught. And it just, the juxtaposition with that scene, with the scene before with Mercer and Max, where Mercer was like struggling to find his words. And then I feel like Tommy found the words. It was like, why upset the apple cart if it's keeping you safe? Like, and then Ezekiel's quote was, that's the struggle, protecting ourselves or others. And then Tommy's like, oh, I wouldn't mind both, which I think is the goal of our group, is like, all right, let's keep everybody safe. Like, let's find a way to get everybody happy without ruffling too many feathers. But I don't think there's a way to do that. I think there's going to have to be some kind of clash. There's going to have to be some kind of battle, uprising or something to, fix the society, because it's not fair the way it is. And those who didn't see it before are starting to see the cracks in the Commonwealth.
The water's about to boil.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking, well, does it have to be a full-on civil war / rebellion? Maybe if, Mercer could like organize a union and make demands and negotiate. I'm like, that would not be a very good Walking Dead storyline.
Boring.
Too boring. But I think in the real world, maybe that's what we would hope for, that they could change the rules of society without bloodshed, But here we're probably hoping for a big old battle.
Yeah. I mean, historically, there's a lot of battles too. Like, things don't change peacefully very easily in history.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Revolutions. Bloody revolutions. Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like they could make, the community of the Commonwealth into something that, you would aspire it to be. I mean, I feel like they're trying to go backwards and make society the same, which probably makes a lot of people feel really comfortable. Instead of being outside of the walls and nearly starving and having to fight for everything that you have and in fear of things being taken away from you and dying and things like that. So you're in a safe environment. Probably feels good for people to be in that environment. But to me, it just seems ridiculous to go back to the way things were. Isn't there a way to take some of the good things of what our society was and make it better? And, the whole money thing gets me, and the healthcare thing, as far as selecting who gets healthcare and who doesn't. I feel like if they could move towards something like that peacefully and have a good bridge of the two, that would be good. Of course, it's not going to be peaceful, I'm sure.
It's hard to figure out, though. Like, I ask listeners, if you have a good idea of what the society, a better way to organize it would be, write in and let us know. I haven't gotten any emails so far, but if you want to, you have this huge 50,000 people group, and you want to be able to have comforts and arts and
ice cream,
good medical care, ice cream, everything like that. Which is, I would be down for that. Then you got to have people that specialize, and then you have to have a military, because if not everyone is. Like, that's the benefit of having a military, is then other people can focus on other things, being a doctor, learning medicine. But then how do you compensate all these people? Do they all get the same no matter how much they had to learn or how much work? There's just all these questions that come up. And if you think, okay, everyone should be compensated exactly the same no matter what they do, that's communism. And at least in our world, we haven't seen that works so well, So what do you do?
People smarter than me can figure that out. It's not gonna be me. I don't claim to have the answers. It just seems ridiculous to me. Like, okay, so you've had the fall of society. Mm-hmm. Do we really want to go back to the way it was? In what way? Go back? How? Like you the way would rather not have ice cream in movie theaters and stuff? I don't like knowing that, it's. I don't like the inequality. I don't like that. I don't like how it's not equal. That bothers. I don't know how to solve it. Like I said, it's up to people way smarter and experienced than I to figure out how to make that work and how to have like a good. I don't have an issue with the structure of their society, and I think having the ice cream and having petting zoos and having some sort of normalcy, and yes, having a military or like a police or someone that can help protect this community and keep it protected, and people can focus on, and, their families and their lives and letting their children go to school and try to have some bit of normalcy. I think all of those are good things, but I don't like, how people are being oppressed or, not being able to it's mostly that how, okay, well, you can't live in this house because you can't afford it, or you can't have these things because you can't afford it, or you can't get health care because either you're not a certain status in the community, or you can't afford, the health care. I think that's what bothers me the most.
Yeah, I mean, I would be pretty pissed in the apocalypse, and I think Rosita said it like an episode or two ago, like, I can't believe I have to worry about paying rent again.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Like, I can't imagine like spending so much time just trying to survive, and then all of a sudden you're back to the stress of paying bills. Like,
yeah, it's disheartening to watch.
Yeah, and and just like even the small things, like in this episode, in the one of the scenes with Mercer and Princess waking up to an alarm clock. I mean, what the fuck? Can we? That should be one of the benefits of being in an apocalypse is no fucking alarm clocks. I mean,
but I think back in Alexandria, it's more of a socialist society, or maybe even closer to communism. Everyone has jobs, but they're all pretty equal, it seems like, and there's no money or anything.
But it's a smaller group, so it's easier to maintain that. Like 50,000 people is a 50, lot of people to maintain.
And I think
it is.
Even in Alexandria, they don't show it. It's a TV show, but I think it would still be a hell of a lot of work for everyone to maintain that, and I don't think there would be a lot of relaxation. I could be wrong about that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I've never had to do it, but.
Well, and I mean, you made a good point, like, as far as, because everyone has to, at least if you're capable, have to be able to defend Alexandria,
Mm-hmm.
If you are physically capable and, of a certain age, you're kind of expected to that if someone comes to stomping at your gates.
In Israel, everyone has to join the army.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even the little kids, Judith was out there training them, to be little badasses. So, I mean, like I said, there's some good and bad, but I mean, I don't know. I'd be like, I'll just go back to Alexandria over all this, screw that. Sorry.
Yeah, it does seem to be better vibes in Alexandria. I just don't know how realistic it would be if it actually happened, but maybe. I mean, like I've said in previous episodes of this podcast, watching Walking Dead right now makes me curious if I could just like do a quantum leap into some other form of government for a while and try it out. It'd be interesting to see what it was like. And maybe I would be like, oh yeah, this is better. Or no, this makes me appreciate what we had back in the US more,
Yep. Yeah, I don't have an answer, but
I mean, I guess I'm like, you're saying, I just want everyone to be able to have all this stuff, but everyone be equal. And I just think that's easier said than done. You can't.
I agree.
How do you do that?
I don't know. I agree. That would be what I would wish. I mean, I wish it for our realistic world, that,
no poverty.
Yeah. I mean, I want it to be more equal, for everyone to have access to things. And, so, I mean, that's my wish for, it's like, why can't, like, if the world completely falls to shit and the apocalypse happened tomorrow, to me, it wouldn't make sense to, like, well, let's just go back to the way it was. Let's try to find a way to take what was good and make it better for everyone. That's how do we do that? I don't know. I'll be a soldier. Just let me fight, and then y'all figure it. Let the brains of the outfit figure it out.
I mean, it reminds me of the book Animal Farm, where all the animals threw out the farmer, and they said, "Okay, what was the saying? Everyone is equal," or something like that. But then it slowly shifted over to, or all animals are equal, but then it slowly shifted over. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. And the pigs kind of took over, right? And they ended up being the ruling masters. And it's just like, can human nature exist where everyone's just nice to each other and the wealth is spread around to everybody. I don't know. I wish it could. That's why I want to move to like Sweden or something and see how
I know.
it is there.
I'm like, I think I just want to go live in Sweden for a year, somewhere in the Netherlands for like a year and just check it out. I hear it's
like,
nice
it might
there.
work if you're kind of born into it and don't have people, don't see the haves and the have-nots.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you've lived even in the Commonwealth and seen like, hey, these people have a better life, I deserve to have that better life, and then therefore people deserve to not, like, it just becomes too complicated. Like, I think, yeah, it has to be like Sweden where that's just the way it is and that's the way everybody accepts it as being.
But I think I don't really know exactly how Sweden works, but I know from what I've read about communism in Russia that because people had no opportunity for any kind of advancement as far as wealth or social, that it was just a depression, economic stagnation. And I think human nature, if you have some kind of an opportunity or a possibility for advancement, then you're more motivated to go out and do things in general. Not everyone's like that, but I don't know. I feel like we're talking about this for too long, though.
We probably are. There's no way the three of us are going to figure it out.
We're trying to figure out world's problems here on the podcast.
But I just love that The Walking Dead's making me think about all this stuff right now. I think it's really cool.
Oh, totally.
So I think it's your turn, Rima.
Okay. Well, I'd like to talk about Ezekiel as well, but more having to do with his relationship with Carol, or Ezekiel and Carol in this episode. I love seeing both of them on the screen together. I think I really wish they found a way to kind of come back together.